today we're going to talk about timing. And what we're going to talk about in part one of our timing videos is split times or short times. Tune in next week to learn about long times. So today, as I said, we're going to talk about split times, sometimes referred to as a short time. And what that is it's an interval that is measuring the time it takes a rock to travel the distance between the back line. I put this sponge here to make it more noticeable, and the hog line. That interval is going to give sweepers an idea of how fast the rock is traveling and therefore whether they need to sweep or not. It's kind of confusing, but I'll do my best to break it down step by step. So what we need in order to take split times is a stopwatch. We have one here. And what you're measuring, as I said, is that distance between the front of the rock touching the back line and the front of the rock touching the hog line. And what you do in order to measure that is you click start, and when the rock crosses that hog line, you click stop, and you have an interval. So for this one, it says 3.74. So what does that mean? Let's find out. A key thing to know about measuring time with a stopwatch is the higher the number, the slower the object, in this case the curling stone, is traveling. The lower the number, the quicker it is traveling. Okay, so Dolores, as my timer, and myself throwing the rock, we took a slide, a practice slide. We weren't sure what the ice was going to do. I threw a rock. It was a 3:62 split time, and the rock landed fully in the back 12, maybe biting the back 8. So that tells me in order for my rock to stop on the T line, I would need to throw a higher slip. I would need to throw something probably closer to 380. I feel that each tenth of a second is equivalent to about 6 feet of travel. Okay, so we threw some more rocks. This time I threw 394, and the rock stopped on the T-line. So I just said that each tenth was worth about 6 feet, and I disproved that. Why? The reason is the ice was fresh, there was no sweepers, and I threw 3 rocks down the same path, so it quickened up faster than I expected. That's something that as a brusher and as a person using the interval times, you need to always be aware of. What path is the rock traveling in? Is it a fresh path, or have there been multiple rocks thrown down? The more rocks down a path, the quicker it's going to get, and the higher a number you're going to be looking for. There's so much to know and to learn about using this method for judging sweeping and judging weight. A couple things I want you to be mindful of. This is only as good as the user. Your eyes are often much better at guiding and judging your weight depending on how fast you're traveling. So don't live and die by the watch, it'll kill you. Number 2, split times will vary for most players on each team, and they'll vary based on release point, they'll vary based on how much of a press you add, whether you have a very straight arm, whether you have a bent arm. So you need to know the players that you're working with in order for this to be successful for you. Thirdly, I know that some of our members use split times, but they use a different interval, and they use from the T-line to the hog line. I can't speak to those numbers well because it's not the system that I use, but the principles are all the same. And lastly, how do you work on this? How do you practice it besides using it during a game? A great way to practice is if you're watching a curling game, whether it be live here at the club or something on the television or one of the streaming services, sit with your stopwatch and time the athletes as they slide out, and get a used to using your stopwatch, also used to what the numbers mean and watching where the rocks go. Good luck.